Grace and peace, dear church, to all of you. This is it. Holy Week is starting next Sunday. This is it. Last Sunday, pre-Palm Sunday. This is it. The hour has come. Palm Sunday, Holy Week, Easter Sunday. This is it. The hour has come. And in the Gospel of John, we're going straight into those holy days. In the Gospel of John, you may remember there are no miracles. I have preached about the Gospel of John before. In the Gospel of John, there are no miracles. Those things that Jesus does that are miraculous, that Matthew, Mark, and Luke will call miracles, John calls them signs. So according to John, there are not miracles, there are signs. So this is it, people. The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified, John tells us. Another thing you may remember from the Gospel of John is that the Gospel of John is divided in two parts. The beginning of the book, usually called the book of signs, and the second part of the book, usually called the book of glory. This is it. The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified, John tells us today. At the beginning of the Gospel, in the book of signs, in chapter 2 of the Gospel of John, we have the first sign in the Gospel of John. You may remember that as the wedding in Cana. Do you guys remember what happened in the wedding in Cana? We're out of wine. That's right. That was not a Lutheran wedding. They ran out of wine. And Mary goes to Jesus and says, hey, Jesus. Mary and the disciples were invited. Say, hey, Jesus, they ran out of wine. Do something. And this is what Jesus said in chapter 2 of the first sign. Jesus said, woman, what concerns is that to me and to you? My hour has not yet come. Now, what does Jesus say today? Today, the Lord says, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. This is it. Now is the time. This is it. The hour has come from the Son of Man to be glorified. The book of signs in the Gospel of John ends in chapter 11 with the greatest of signs. That's the resurrection of Lazarus. I preached about this before, so I know you know. So tell me, how many signs there are in the Gospel of John? 7, thank you. There are 7 signs. There are 7 miraculous actions. There are 7 signs according to John, starting with the first sign of the wedding Cana, turning water into wine, to the 7th sign of resurrecting Lazarus from the death, the greatest of the signs, of course. And then we turn the page to the book of glory in chapter 12. This is it, folks. The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. And now in chapter 12, that's today's gospel, you can see that the tone changes. The tone of the gospel changes. We're now in Jerusalem. The tone changes. We're going to the cross. The tone changes. Holy Week is at Portas. The tone changes. If a grain of wheat doesn't go and die, it would not bear fruit. The tone changes. We are now in the book of glory. The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Then a voice came from heaven. I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again. We read from the Gospel of John. This is it. It's happening. Holy Week, Palm Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, Easter Sunday. Now, in the midst of this unraveling of Holy Week, in the midst of this unraveling of our faith and the life of Jesus in this world, in the midst of this unraveling of the story of salvation, when Jesus dies on the cross for you and for me, John throws a stick in the wheels, and we hear this part. Did you catch it at the beginning? First line. Now among those who went up to worship at the festival were some Greeks. They came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, and said to him, "Sir, we wish to see Jesus." Now, Greeks were not Jews. Or they're quite the opposite. As I said before, Jewish folks use the term Greek as a catch-all for anyone who was not Jewish and followed Greek customs instead of Jewish customs. Is the way, for example, if you travel abroad, is the way, or abroad to a Spanish-speaking country, is the way people refer to as gringos. You're a gringo. I'm from Sweden. Oh, that's gringo enough. You're not from here, I can tell you that. So the Jews used the same idea for Greeks. So these poor Greeks, only God knows where they were from. What we do know is they were not from around town, they're not Jews, and they come to see Jesus with this plea to Philip. "Sir, we wish to see Jesus." We are here, you and I are here, because someone in our story reached out to the church and to the faithful with this plea. "Sir, madam, we want to see Jesus." And that action brought faith, and that faith brought us here. Why are you here? Why are you here in this church on a beautiful St. Patrick's Day Sunday? Unlike the rest of the congregation that I guess is still sleeping from last night's partying. Maybe you're here because of your mom. Maybe your dad married into the church when he married your mom. She was the Lutheran, she was the churchgoer. So your dad said, "Okay." And you were brought up in the church because of your mom. Because your mom said, going to church is important. Because your mom said, let's go. Because your mom said, this is who we are. I want you to see Jesus. And your mom is the matriarch of your family, and your mom is the matriarch of your faith. Why are you here? Why are you here on this beautiful Sunday morning? You have other stuff to do. Why are you here? Maybe you're here because of your grandfather. Maybe you're here because your grandfather insisted that you will get baptized. Maybe you're here because your grandfather insisted that you should go to Sunday school. Maybe you're here because your grandfather insisted that you take First Communion. Maybe because your brother insisted in you being confirmed. Maybe because your grandfather insisted in having you and your family with him on Easter morning at church. Because this is important. Because he wanted you to see Jesus. Or maybe you're here because you came yourself. You brought yourself to church. You said, you know what? I need some God in my life. I'm going to walk into this church. I don't know why. I don't know anyone in that place. But my life is not going great. And I need a reset. I need a second chance. I need to unload some heavy stuff. I don't know exactly what I need, but I'm sure I need me some God. So you brought yourself here, and you said, hey, I'm here because I want to see Jesus. Why are you here? Who brought you here? In your story, who was the Greek who got you into the church? Let's say with the Greeks. So they're Greeks. They're gringos from somewhere in the Greek, lands. That, it's everybody else but the Jewish people. And they approach Philip. Of all the disciples, they approach Philip. Why Philip? Of all the disciples, they go and approach Philip, and Philip in turn goes to Andrew. Why Philip? Why Andrew? You may know this because, we're 2,000 years apart, but at the time, among the 12 disciples, only Philip and only Andrew had Greek names. All the other disciples had Jewish names. So the Greeks, hearing that these guys have Greek names, they say, hey, that guy is our guy. Let's ask Philip. I can pronounce that name. As you may know, I have a weird name. And when I was a little boy in school, elementary school, they will call all the kids to make sure everybody was in school. And especially when we move grades, from elementary to middle school, or they're a new teacher, I will see the teacher, going on, John Smith, Susie, Paul. And then she will and I will be, that gotta be me. I'm sorry, miss, I'm not Philip. I'm sorry, miss, I'm not Andrew. I'm the guy with the weird name. So I understand if you don't call my name next time you need something from the class. That's what we all do. So the Greeks go to Philip and Andrew because they have names they can't pronounce. They have names they're familiar. They have names they know. And that's the entry point for them to ask about Jesus. We all do this. Imagine you come to church, first time. You made it to church dragging your 3 kids under the age of 7. Was a riot. You're mad already. You walk into the church, the kids are crying. Right before you get into the church, you say to them, shut up. And you walk in. And you look around. What are you looking for? Other rioting kids. So you think to yourself, okay, my kids are not the only ones. You're looking for your Philip. You're looking for your Andrew. Imagine you just retired from the military. You walk into the church, new into town, looking for a congregation. You walk in and you look around. What are you looking for? Another person with a military haircut. You're looking for your Philip. You're looking for your Andrew. Imagine you look different, for whatever reason that it is that you look different. And you walk into the church shopping, and you look around. Who are you looking for? Someone who looks like you. Different. You're looking for your Philip. You're looking for your Andrew. We all operate this way. Most of us have a cloud of people that we know, a social group of folks that we interact with that is pretty diverse. And we may know people who make more money than us. We may know people who make less money than us. We may know people who live on our side of the train tracks. We know people who are on the other side of the train tracks. We know people who have the same degrees in education that we have. We know folks who have a different type of education that we have. We all have a diverse group of folks that we know, but most of us, in our core group of friends, most of us, the people that we actually hang out with and are close to, most of us have very homogeneous friends. People who look like us. People who vacation when we vacation. People who send their kids to the things that we send our kids to. People who politically think alike to us. We like to surround ourselves in our core group of friends with people who are like us. We surround ourselves with other Greeks. We surround ourselves with other Philips, with other Andrews. And those are our friends. Did you know that the number one reason for people to join a church is not the sermon? Did you know that the number one reason for people to join a church is not the music program? Did you know that the number one reason for people to join a church is not the Sunday school curriculum? The number one reason for people to join a church is friends. Why do you go to that church? My friends go there. What do you like about that church? Well, I like that I sit with my peeps. You know, we hang out, we catch up, then we catch a bite together after church. What do you like about that church? Well, that's what I do. I'm part of a small group on Wednesday nights, and then we go to church on Sunday morning. Sometimes we vacation together in the summer. Friends. So let's recap. We are in Lent. We are in this 40 days journey of self-discovery, of internal faithful search at the light of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. We are in the midst of our Lenten journey, looking forward to the grand finale of Holy Week with Palm Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, and Easter. And in the midst of this, I'm here to tell you that Lent might be also an evangelism time. I'm here to tell you that Lent might be an opportunity for you to bring the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news, to others. Others who want to see Jesus. Not any other, but the others you know. Your friends. People like you. People who are in your phone directory right now. People on your block. And don't be afraid to invite your friends to church, because I got to tell you, as you know, most people don't go to church. Take Glen Rock as an example. Do you guys know the population of Glen Rock? 14,000 people, give or take. Let's say, for math's sake, that not everybody is a Christian. Let's say that 2/3 of the population are Christians. Who's the mathematician among us? 2/3 of 14,000. Carry the 2. Let's do 10,000 to use even numbers. Let's say there are 10,000 Christians in this town. We have the Catholic Church, we have 3 Protestant churches, and we have 2 non-denominational churches. So together, we have 6 churches. I'm here to tell you that all of us together, all the churches of Glen Rock together, we worship about 10% of the total population of Christians in this town. 10%. The Catholic Church may have 100 or 200 people this morning. We have this. The Episcopalians may have the same. The Reforms, something along those lines. The 2 denominational, non-denominational, a few more. All together, 1,000. You want to double it? 2,000. Out of a universe of roughly 10,000 Christians. So in this season of Lent, I'm telling you today, as we get ready for our holidays, that Lent is an opportunity to evangelize and share the good news of Jesus Christ for those who want to see Jesus. Do you want to see Jesus? Do you need to see Jesus? Well, you can see Jesus at church. Where? In bread and wine. Right here on the altar. In bread and wine. This is my body. Do this for the remembrance of me. You can see Jesus at church. In the sacrament and at church, we also tell you can see Jesus in the world. Where in the world? You can see Jesus in the least of these. You can see Jesus in the hungry and in the hungry for justice. You can see Jesus in the thirsty and in the thirsty for meaning. You can see Jesus in the stranger and in the immigrant. You can see Jesus out in the world among the least of these. Do you want to see Jesus? Do you need to see Jesus? Perfect timing. Come to church with me next Sunday, Palm Sunday, when you can see Jesus as King, coming in glory to Jerusalem, singing Hosanna. Do you want to see Jesus? Perfect timing. You can come to church with me on Monday, Thursday, to see Jesus as a servant, washing feet. Do you want to see Jesus? Perfect timing. You can come to church with me on Good Friday, when you will see Jesus crucified as the Lamb of God who died for you and for me. Do you want to see Jesus? Perfect timing. You can come with me to Easter Sunday, and you can see that the tomb is empty, and Christ is risen. Who needs to see Jesus in your life? Who needs to see Jesus in your phone contacts? For those who are watching from home, who needs to see Jesus among those you know? Today's gospel ends with this line. And I, when I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw all people to myself. And I love that image of drawing people to God's self, to Jesus. Because that means that Jesus is back where Jesus belongs, at the center. It means that Jesus is back where the church stands on that rock, on the angular stone. I love that idea of Jesus drawing us to God, drawing us to himself, because God is love. So Jesus is drawing us into God's love. Jesus is drawing us into the heart of the Father. Jesus is drawing us into the life of faith. The faith that the Greeks went out asking for. The faith that strangers are knocking on the door asking about. The faith that people who are struggling today are looking for as the greater power. The faith that you and I have tapped on so many times in our journey of faith. The faith that Jesus is Lord. The faith that God provides. The faith that the Holy Spirit leads the way. People, it's Lent. Our holy days are coming, and there are Greeks among us. Let's show them Jesus. Amen.